Greetings, Legunus Arendelft here. So, I spent the majority of last night having nightmares. I am not understating that fact. I literally had the same nightmare over and over where I was aware of, the fact that I literally had just gone through this, and I was just like, can I please not go through this again? But I just went through it again anyways. It's just that my mind was in a very self-destructive mode last night. So, here's a little bit of a breakdown of how the nightmare went. So, it was basically me and a group of people stuck on what felt like some kind of farm out in the middle of the woods. What was going on out there is that there was these creatures that just kept attacking us. I remember at one part of the nightmare seeing one of the members of our group turned around and running, and when I looked and saw what he was running from, I saw some weird creature that looked sort of like, an alien from Aliens. I know that might be kind of confusing, but if you've ever seen that movie, it looked like those except without the tail, and it had hair flailing out like, I don't know if it was hair or like tentacles or I don't know what, but it was like a bunch of hair just came out and was in the air and whatnot. It looked super freaky, and this thing was running straight at this guy as he was running for his life. And I remember just thinking like, oh frag, like, it was genuinely freaking terrifying. And there were other times where I would see animals walking around the house, and then these animals would suddenly mutate into vicious, vile creatures, and we'd have to fight them off desperately, trying to just stay alive, and it would always whittle down our numbers one by one. And once everybody was killed off, then the nightmare would start over again. That's what I mean by like having to relive it over and over and over, and this just would not stop. And there were other times when we would, try to escape, but we kept running into traps and more monsters. I remember at one point we were moving through the ruins of some house trying to find a way out when we ran across some maniacal guy who took the form of one of my older brothers. This maniacal guy, we talked to him, we said, hey, we already killed one of these creatures. We were trying to be like, oh, look at us, we're awesome. And he goes, yo, you've only faced one so far? Well, sucks for you. You've got at least, like, he named off some number, like we were going to have to face at least 3 more. And considering we barely survived the fight with the one, that completely deflated our victory. Especially since we were walking through a house filled with traps that was killing us. And by the time we faced those other 3, we probably were going to be severely diminished. That nightmare, that particular rendition did not end well. So, in any case, as we continued, as this nightmare continued to replay over and over and over, finally there came a point where me, as the dreamer, as the nightmarer, if you will, got really fed up with it. Like, I got tired of reliving the nightmare. So, without actually realizing I was in a nightmare, I summoned Doom Guy. I kid you freaking not. I summoned Doom Guy from Doom. And I basically became him, where he systematically then went out and killed all the monsters. Thing is, it still never ended. The dream would just repeat over and over, except this time, Doom Guy would then hunt down and kill all the monsters. Now, you might think that this was pretty awesome, but I still felt terrified. It's like Doom Guy was just doing his thing, but I was just inside his head. But I was still scared of the monsters for some stupid reason, even though I was watching them get obliterated over and over and over again. I don't know, I must have just been suffering a lot of anxiety last night. I have no idea why. But even though that in and of itself was really awesome, and normally I would have been like, oh yeah, just watching these monsters get ripped to pieces over and over again, it was anything but. And I genuinely just like, In any case, though, I was woken up by my wife at that point, Fijesh, when she was like, oh, I'm so sorry for waking you. And I was just like, no, it's fine. I was having nightmares, so I'm actually glad you woke me up. This turned out to be really bad. Why do I say that? because I fell back asleep. And Doom Guy wasn't around anymore. And my brain decided, hey, time for a new sculpt of Nightmare. So what happened this time? Well, essentially, I was once again, part of a party, except this time there was like a river and a ravine, and, the river went through the ravine at one point, and another point it didn't. I don't freaking know. Dreams are confusing. Anyway, and once again, we were on a homestead in the middle of the woods, but every time we killed a monster, it would just go back to the river and regenerate. And I remember seeing a member of our party who had been, really awesome, and she was in the river, turned into this hideous, disgusting monster that was horrifying to behold. I remember seeing the thing just being like, what the heck is that? And realizing it was her. I don't know how I knew it was her. I guess it was just dream logic that I knew it was. But I was just like, oh yeah, that's her. And it was horrifying. This creature, whatever it was disgusting and vile. And I was just like, yeah, that's not my favorite thing to see. And then I saw another creature that we had just killed, and it had gone back to the river to regenerate. And it was pushing, don't ask me how a creature that's just been killed can take itself back to the river, but somehow it did. And it fell backwards into the river, and as it was doing so, I watched as its organs came back into being and whatnot, and this was horrifying. I did not want to see this, but I was just unable to look away inside the dream, and I was just watching as its organs were just regenerating inside of its body, and then, instead of skin, it had this metal exoskeleton kind of thing that formed along the outside. I remember this thing of brass forming along its chest, and I was just like, what the flying fragmentation am I seeing? Can we call in an exterminatus, please? And yeah, that was how this particular dream went. And I remember constantly being paranoid of my friends and family, because any one of them could suddenly be one of these creatures, and you wouldn't know until it was too late. It was like Among Us, imposter Among Us, except that the imposter, every time it killed someone, they became an imposter too. So you never found the bodies. Anyway, and no, I've never played Among Us. It looks fun. It looks like a lot of fun. But yeah, I've never played it. Anyway, though, I'm just like, holy fragging Terra, this sucks. And there came a point where inside the dream, I got fed up again. Kind of like where in the first set of nightmares, I got fed up and summoned Doom Guy. In the second set of nightmares, I got fed up again. But instead of summoning Doom Guy again, I just started crushing the monsters inside my mind. I literally, as the dreamer, as the nightmarer, if you will, I literally just remember reaching out as though I had massive telekinetic powers and just crushing these monsters into oblivion. Just, whenever they would try to regenerate, I would just do it again. And there came a point where I would look over at someone and I could tell if they were a monster or not. And I would just crush them, and they would turn into the monster as they were being crushed, and then... Yeah, I guess I was just so sick and tired of the nightmare that even though I didn't realize I was dreaming, I was just done. I am done. I summoned Doom Guy in the first set of nightmares, and in the second set of nightmares, I just started crushing the dang things. And holy Terra, when I woke up again, I made a point of not going back to sleep. Even though I was still really tired and I hadn't slept well, I made a point of not going back to sleep. I was just like, done. I am done. Anyway, last night was not good for me. And I had, these nightmares have been plaguing me. My sleep has been sucking worse than a vampire volunteering at a blood bank. And I'm just like, ugh. Anyway, though, I just felt like sharing that. It was particularly creepy and somewhat absolutely terrifying. And, yeah, if y'all have any thoughts on it, please leave them down in the comment section below. Yeah, I mean, this was genuinely, at many points, a terrifying experience for me, and I haven't had nightmares this intense for a little while now. It's probably been a few months. But every few months, I generally have pretty vivid and genuinely terrifying nightmares. These ones were particularly bad because I didn't just have a nightmare and then it was done. I kept having to relive it over and over and over to the point where somewhere deep in my mind, I got sick of it and summoned help or generated powers. I don't freaking know. But holy Terra, isn't it bad enough if you have to get hunted down and killed one time? And then suddenly you come back with full memories and you're just all like, oh my fragging Terra, this again. I mean, it sort of gives you an opportunity to keep fighting and learning, but the problem is that our enemies were adapting to us as well. They seem to retain their memories as well. So it's not like we had an edge on them. We didn't. They just, like, they had everything on us, right up until I summoned Doom Guy. Then Doom Guy, you know, was just like, okay, alright, time to have fun. I don't know if Doom Guy actually considers that to be fun, but now that I'm awake and I go back and I rewatch those memories inside my mind, oh holy terror, how much I wish I could just summon those memories from my mind and have y'all watch them. That would make for an amazing video. But, man, it's awesome to replay those memories now, watching Doom Guy, like, rip out his blade and just, like, boom, just completely impale one of those monsters that was absolutely terrifying and then just rip it in half. And then just start getting out all his guns and just like... Oh, holy Terra. It's awesome to relive it now. But then, I guess I was filled with so much anxiety, there was nothing there. And the sucky part is, once I woke up, I was in a really cruddy mood. I hadn't slept well and stuff like that, and this, honestly, sleeping really badly has been a repeating pattern for me. I'm not sure why. I'm still trying to get over it. It sucks worse than vampires at a blood bank. Anyway, though, everybody, once again, if you have any comments, please leave it down in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, thank you for watching this long. And in any case, everybody, y'all are abso-fraggin-lutely awesome. I love ya. I look forward to seeing you soon. And, yeah, I am thinking about starting my Let's Play with Skyrim soon, as I have not played Skyrim in ages. So if you are looking forward to that, please let me know. I could use any extra mojo y'all can send my way at all. And, yeah, I'll see y'all then. So don't y'all be getting into too much trouble, or do. It's always up to you. Toodles, Legionus.